As many of you know, this channel is called Living in a Van, and yet lately I've been mostly living in Walter's house over here and doing episodes from the house because it's just a lot more convenient since I have access to a house versus doing things in a van. But I understand that most of my viewers are actually van dwellers or either full-time, part-time, or dreamers looking to do it one of these days. So I thought I would start emphasizing some more episodes for cooking in the van, surviving in the van, even though right now I'm only pseudo living in a van, basically when I'm traveling or taking a nap at work. Anyhow, I wanted to show off my, the chuck station, the portable chuck station kitchen that I created that is designed to fit in a car or a van, and you can see it's perfectly sized to fit in the back of this. This is Rusty Iron Van, by the way, for those of you who are wondering what's up with Rusty Iron Van. He's still here and actually might be sold today. I've got somebody coming over to look at him. But I decided to set him up as a temporary studio for cooking instead of cooking in the kitchen. As you can see, the chuck station is very easy to reconfigure. Right now I only have one rice cooker on it, but it's designed to hold 2 rice cookers for traveling. But right now I only need one because we're going to make the classic dish that you see me making all the time, the McNoy sandwich. But what's unique about this is we're actually going to make it once again using the rice cooker, a toaster, and we're going to try to cook it, powering it from the vehicle. That way people who are new to inverter cooking can see how the system is hooked up and how it all works. Now what you're looking at is just a standard, the van itself is a Chrysler Voyager, and basically still runs, but I'm trying to get rid of it because obviously I have a little blue now and I don't need 2 cars, and I need the cash. But anyhow, the battery on here is actually very old and not really working too well. So it's not holding much of a charge because it's been sitting uncharged for a while when I first got the van, and then since I've had it, it's been sitting. I did temporarily pull it out to use as a house battery inside a little Bluetooth, and it was working fine, but it's not really holding a full charge. You can see it's from, May 2013, so it's already 5 years old. Anyhow, I've got it hooked up right now with an inverter. For those of you who don't know what an inverter is, an inverter is a device that looks similar to this. It may look like this if you have the same model, but it's designed to convert 12-volt battery to 120, and if you're European, you have the European units, which convert it to like 220. But what it does is it takes 12-volt DC from your battery, runs it through here, and then it can output it into 12 volts. Now this unit has some safety devices on it. It's got 2 built-in fuses. Actually, I only have a 15 amp fuser, so it may blow. But the normal rating on it is, if I can open this up here, the normal rating is about 20, 25. Okay, but I think it popped before, and I only had a 15 amp fuse, and I stuck it in there. So I'm not sure which one's connected to which, but I've got 2 outlets here to use. So I basically have this, and if I flip it on, you're going to hear it whine and beep because the battery is low on power. So let me show you that. When we flip this on, the inverter will take the 12-volt power and convert it to 120 volts, so we can use it with 120-volt appliances. See how it's making that noise? It says low battery overload because the battery is too weak. So I'm going to have to start up the vehicle to charge up the battery. And hopefully it'll hold enough charge to allow me to cook. This is a 350 watt inverter. Inverters come in different sizes. They can produce different numbers of watts. Now, this is the minimal. It's a 350 watt. My rice cooker, you can look on the bottom of the rice cooker. I will show you here. Typically, most electronic devices where the power plug is will tell how much power they require. And in this case, if you look here on the bottom, it says 120 volts, 300 watts, 60 hertz, AC only. So this thing needs about 300 watts. And as you can see on our rice cooker, it's a 350 watt rice cooker, so it should be enough to power it. The issue is whether or not this battery is actually going to make it, because this battery is already bad, and using your battery like this could actually cause it to die earlier. So that's going to be my little warning there. you could end up killing your battery or alternator. But if you're in an emergency situation, or you allocate funds for replacing your battery, possibly your alternator, this is a way to cook, without even a house battery system. I'm essentially going to be using the vehicle battery to cook with. Now, working with the battery that's already partially dead is kind of a handicap, so it may not work. So the first thing I'm going to need to do at this point is start the vehicle up. So we're going to just simply start Rusty Iron Van, that's this van right here, up. And it, whoa, why is that on? Try to start it and the wiper blades come on. Wonder if this is on somehow. That's weird. Doesn't start because the battery's too weak, I think. But I'm trying to figure out, somehow the wiper blades are set on or something. I may have to jump start the vehicle because the battery is so weak. It's not even starting. Well, not only this a cooking episode, this is a how to jump start your battery episode. Anyhow, as you can see, I've got a battery jumper cable that I've hooked up. Red from the little blue goes to the red on Rusty Iron Van. And I put black to black. So red to red, black to black. Now normally, you can actually hook this black, I think, to a piece of metal here on the frame. And that's ground. They actually recommend doing that versus hooking it up to the battery. But I hooked it up directly to the battery because I just, it's probably not as safe, but I did that because I just want the power going from one battery directly into the other instead of flowing through the whole system here. But I'm going to leave it run for a little bit and let that battery, that alternator there from that vehicle and the battery charge up this one a little bit. And the reason this battery is dying isn't from being used for inverter cooking or anything like that. It's just an old battery, and it's been sitting without being recharged for the longest time. So batteries, if you don't keep them charged, they start to die on their own. They hold less and less charge. So this one's already a bad battery, so I'm not sure how successful it's going to be with our cooking efforts, but we're going to try it anyways. So at this point, I'm just going to let it sit for a few more minutes, let it charge up, and then try to start up Rusty Iron Van. Alright, it's been only about 1 or 2 minutes, so the battery wasn't too dead. I was able to get Rusty Iron Van to start up. I don't know if you can hear the noise here. So at this point, Rusty Iron Van is charging up its own battery using its alternator. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to have to touch everything here, unplug the system. They're disconnected, and you can see the car is running, and the battery is charging up. So I'm going to unplug this one. And we'll just let the battery charge a little bit on its own before we try to hook the system up, because the battery is really weak. We might even leave it running. I'm just going to let it run, though, for maybe 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes, to try to get some power back into the battery before we try to pull it using the inverter. Because if I try to start it up right now, this battery may die again. So we're just trying to let it get some energy there from the alternator, which is right over there, to come into the battery and charge the battery up somewhat. Alright, I've got the battery charging up right now, and had unplugged the rice cooker because, the rice cooker actually draws power even when it's off. It'll stay on warm mode. And I was checking out the toaster, and it turns out this toaster, the power requirement on it says it needs 750 watts. What that means is the little inverter here that I have hooked up isn't going to work. This inverter only goes up to 350 watts. The toaster requires 750, so it's not going to work with this inverter. I would have to use the inverter that's hooked up here inside Little Blue too, but I'm not sure I really want to rip apart my whole system here because this van is still intact. You can see it's still configured for living in. But this is a 750 watt inverter. Maybe I'll go ahead and hook it up just to show you guys how it's supposed to work. Debating if I want to dismantle everything. Maybe I can just undo it on this end and hook it up, which I think I'm going to go ahead and do. Because it's going to be hard to do a cooking episode to show you that it would work and then not do it with the equipment that would show you that it works. So I'm going to dismantle this. I'll take all this apart and just plan on leaving the cables here and using it later. And we'll use this inverter instead of the 350 watt one. The 350 watt one that I have in the other vehicle would work for cooking the rice just fine, but it won't work for the toaster. And the plan for me for using the portable chuck station is actually to plug it into like a hotel room or a park where they have 120 volt power, and for an emergency to use a vehicle, you know, and an inverter. But I would have a 750 watt or larger, maybe a 1200 watt inverter, 1000 watt inverter instead of a 350 watts. 350 watts would only allow me to run one rice cooker. So let me go ahead and do this. That way we can show you properly how you can run the whole system off the vehicle battery and a 750 or more watts inverter. All right. 3 minutes later, we have our inverter disconnected from the other unit. And so you can see I have the red here hooked up to the red, the black hooked up to the black, and we're going to hook it up to the battery. So let me do that right now, and that'll make this inverter able to convert the 12 volts to 120 volts. All right, the system is hooked up. So at this point, I have the red coming from this inverter to the battery on the red. Make sure it doesn't touch the metal there, because that'll be a short circuit. Make sure it doesn't touch anything other than the power here. In fact, I think it's fine there. And then here, I have it going to the black. You don't want to create a short circuit. Now, if I turn this unit on, we're going to be able to read how much power it has, okay? Right now, it's using 0 volts because we don't have anything hooked up. And the battery right now is showing 14.0, 14.4, 14.3, because it's really coming from the alternator. That's how much electricity, the voltage, the alternator is generating. So what I'm going to do now is plug in this 120 volt power here. And you can see it's still, let's look at the draw. So right now the battery is showing 0 draw because we're not running anything. And the battery is showing 14.4, which to me is good enough that we can start cooking. So let's go ahead and start the process of actually cooking. Well, you guys are getting a big bonus with this episode of Cooking with Denoy. Not only are we going to cook the McNoy sandwich using the inverter cooking system and the portable chuck station, you got to see me do a diagnostics on what happened with the power situation and jump starting a dead battery, hooking up a new inverter, and here we are now. So I've got everything unplugged except for the toaster here. You can see the line here runs to the front. That's where we're getting the 120 volt from. We're getting it from the van itself. The van is generating electricity, 120 volt current, that we're going to be running our toaster off. Now the toaster says it's 750 and the inverter is 750, which is kind of bad because that's the maximum. You know, that's the maximum that the inverter will handle. It'll go up to like, I think, 1500 on a surge, but it's not designed to go above 750. So truly, if I was going to use this toaster with an inverter, I would probably need a 1000 or 1200 watt inverter, not a 750, because it's rated at 750. Now, the first thing I'm going to do, I am going to go ahead and try to make the toast to see if the whole system will shut down or work, because this is the heaviest draw. So we're going to go ahead and start the toaster, and we can hear it beep already. I don't know if you heard that. The system just shut down. It says low battery. Okay, to reset it, I just turn it off and turn it back on. I can see 750 watts is not going to work. Even though it's still showing 14.4, this battery is not holding enough power. And the inverter, when it tried to pull it, was pulling out too fast. So we're not going to be able to cook our bread with the toaster with a dead battery and 750 watt inverter. So those are already issues. So what we're going to do at this point is we're just going to make the McNoy using regular bread instead of toasted bread. And it doesn't negate the portable chuck station because this unit wasn't designed specifically for inverter cooking. Inverter cooking can be done on it, But I do, like I said, I would want to upgrade my power inverter to a 1000 watt inverter or larger, and better battery, obviously. The battery we use, you can tell, is already pretty much shot. It's dead. So it's not holding much power at all. But we're going to leave the bread like that right now. We're actually going to unplug it because we don't need it plugged in. Let's see if we can unplug this guy here. I'm going to have to turn off the camera here. I can't do it one-handed. All right, I plugged the rice cooker into the unit, and you can see it actually came on already. It's on warm mode. So what I'm going to do at this point, water there, I'm going to add some oil and set the unit on high and cook up my egg. Meanwhile, I think I'm going to go ahead and take the toaster right now and cheat on this cooking episode and take this inside and toast up my bread. You know, and then next time I might try it on Little Blue 2, whose battery system is a little bit better than this one here, and see if it actually works there. Trying to figure out if it's a battery issue or if it's an inverter issue. It could be a combination of both. But I know the battery on this vehicle is pretty much dead. So let me add a little bit of canola oil. We're going to fry up our egg. And meanwhile, we'll take the rice cooker inside and cook that up. Toast up the bread. I've added probably, about a tablespoon of oil. And I'm coating it all here now. Then what I'm going to do is just crack the egg in there. Throw in some of our magical Badia complete seasoning. And that's all we're going to use to season it. Because later on we're going to add some ketchup. And that's pretty much it. So let me go ahead and do that. Alright, I've cracked the egg and stuck it inside the rice cooker. You can see it's still on low mode, so it's not really cooking yet. And all I'm going to do is just pour some of this Badia directly onto it. So this will give it some flavoring. I don't want to use too much, but a little bit, so I can taste it. So I've sprinkled some Badia on there. Make it look pretty. And we're going to put the lid on it. Even it out a little bit. Then we're just going to set this on high mode. And I'm not hearing a beep or anything from the inverter, so the system is working correctly. So 750 watts was a little bit too much. You can see the power says it went down to 12.5, 12.6. That's how much voltage is in the battery. So it's going to drop down. We don't really want this to go down below 12.1. If it starts to drop to 12.1 or lower, we're killing our battery. So here you can see the watts it's actually pulling. That rice cooker is rated at 300. Right now it's pulling 298. I don't know if you can see it on here. 298 watts. So it's pulling pretty much what it was rated to pull. 297, 298. So it's a 300 watt rice cooker, and that's why those numbers are important. Remember the toaster said 750, and this thing says it will handle 750. It will handle a surge, so it should be fine with it. I think it's the battery. Just the battery was just bad. So at this point right now, this is cooking. And it is on cook mode. So it's cooking at 300 watts, which means the rice cooker is working like normal, like it's supposed to. I'm going to go ahead and cheat with this episode and take the toaster and toast that inside the house with a 120 volt power supply. All right, as you can see, I'm currently back inside Walter's house. I have the toaster hooked up to wall power for 120 volt access, and I'm just going to simply cook the toast like normal. And as I was saying, the whole portable chuck station is designed specifically to plug into 120 volts. It's not meant to really be used for cooking in the van while driving. It's meant to be used while you park somewhere at a park where you have access to 120 volt power, or you're at a hotel room and you want to cook normal meals that you normally cook when you're eating, at your house. And that's what the station was designed for. So it's still, doing what it's designed to do. The thing is, cooking with an inverter is like a little bonus. So I still think that it would work even with the 720 volts. Although as soon as I get some extra cash, I may buy a 1000 or a 1200 watt inverter. That way we can eliminate the inverter being the issue. Then it'll come down to a matter of the battery, whether the battery can handle it or not, the draw. So this will cook. Let's go, and this will automatically pop up on its own, so we should be fine. So in the meantime, let's go ahead and check out our eggs and see how that's coming along. So we are back at the car, and you can see the egg is starting to turn white. It is cooking. So there is heat, definitely, and you can see the steam coming on there. I'm going to let it boil a little bit more, and then I'll flip the egg. Now you'll notice I have this console, this portable chuck station here, somewhat open. I didn't even hook up power supplies and stuff like that because I wanted to keep the system flexible. I could build in a little outlet here and put a portable, you know, multi-plug outlet to plug things in, but then it sticks out and you can't move it around. I figure I just carry this around with me, you know, because then it has an extension cord on it. That's what's really cool about this particular outlet. So things can just hook up like that. And down here is where the toaster is stored, and up here is another slot for a second rice cooker, so you can have two burners going on at the same time, which would be 600 watts. And on my 750 watt inverter, it should work fine, but that's pushing it because you're nearing the limit of what the inverter is designed to handle. But if you're in a hotel room or you're at a park where you have a full 120 volt outlet available, it's not an issue. It's just like cooking at your house. You could even get one of those little portable 120 volt burners, I guess they're called, where you can put frying pans and stuff on it and cook. So it's whatever you're comfortable with. The whole idea of the chuck station was to create something that could carry a portable kitchen. You can see this is a sandwich maker here. I'd have to move that out to get it out of there, but I think this thing requires 750 watts as well, because I know I was able to test it and it worked fine on the inverter cooking system with the current inverter that's hooked up underneath Little Blue 2. I mean underneath the Rusty Iron Band. So at this point you can see the egg is kind of done on one side, so I'm going to go ahead and flip it because kind of sticky, because the non-stick, as you can see, this rice cooker has seen a lot of use. Basically a 1.5 or 2 years of field use on the road, cooking my meals while I was living in the van full time. I don't want to pop the egg is what's going on. It's kind of stuck on that end right there. Pulling it might pop it. Alright, so we've got that now, and I'm going to flip it. Oh, I just busted my egg. Oh, I should have let it cook a little bit more before I did that. Oh well, it's alright. This won't look like the best looking meal ever, but you know, if you're out there in the middle of nowhere and you're hungry, let me make sure. The thing popped back up to warm mode because I was flipping around and messing with it. So let me let it cook a little bit more. Mental note, make sure you let the egg cook a little bit more before you actually try to flip it. I tried to flip it a little too soon, and you're going to see there it busted, but that's alright. It'll just be a busted McNoy sandwich. At this point right now, our toast is done, perfectly cooked. So I'm going to take the toast and head back out and flip the eggs over again. I'm thinking that this meal right here, if you didn't have to stop the cooking process to jumpstart the battery and then stop the process again to change out the inverter and then stop it again because the inverter still won't work with the dead battery. This whole thing should take about 10 to 15 minutes to prepare using the inverter system in your van or your car or at a park somewhere. It should not be taking about 30 minutes, which is what it's taking right now because of all those issues that popped up. Anyhow, here we are. You can see the egg is pretty much done. At this point it is done. I could probably eat it, but I'm going to flip it over a little bit just because I kind of like it somewhat brown. You can see the egg is fully cooked. You could cook bacon in here. You can cook sausages. If you followed previous cooking episodes, you've even seen me make stuff like steaks. I've cooked steaks in there. I've cooked ribs. You know, and we cooked fried rice. We cooked Thai red curry. The rice cooker is very versatile. It's essentially a heating element like you would have with the frying pan kind that you plug in, an electric heating element, with the pan or the pot already included. And if you get the smaller one like this is an aroma one from Walmart. I think it's like $15 or $20. it's only 300 watts, which makes it ideal for an inverter cooking system with a small inverter that's at least 300 watts. You know, the system right now would run fine on 350 watts because we're only pulling 300 watts, even though I have a 750 watt inverter hooked up. Well, I don't know about you guys. I'm hungry, so I think it's done for now. To turn off the rice cooker, there's no really off switch. It jumps to warm mode. And in warm mode, I think it pulls about... Let's go look and see how much it pulls in warm mode. In warm mode, the rice cooker pulls 45 watts. So some of you were getting confused and think this rice cooker is a slow cooker. It's not. Although if I leave it in warm mode, it can work as a slow cooker. So if you wanted to cook a meal that would require like a slow cooker to cook, you can use a rice cooker. Just leave it on warm mode instead of high mode. And because a slow cooker, I think, uses about 28 or 30 watts. This thing's right now using about 45, so it'll cook slightly faster than a slow cooker, but it'll still cook slowly. So if you ran it like this, you could probably run it off a small inverter that plugs directly into your cigarette lighter. So you'd have a small inverter that goes into your cigarette lighter, because those things will allow up to, I think, 120 watts to be drawn out. But it can get hot and melt your wires there, so be careful. But if you're only pulling 45 watts, which is what this would require, I'm willing to bet you can do that. So maybe that's an experiment for a future episode for someone who's totally minimalistic and doesn't want to get a large inverter, you know, and have it put under the hood or something, but wants to be able to cook inside using a rice cooker or a slow cooker. So I may go ahead and purchase a small cigarette lighter inverter, a small little one that will handle up to like maybe about 100 watts or 120 watts, because that would allow you to use the rice cooker in low mode, not in high mode, but in low mode, to cook things slowly. So look forward to those episodes if we decide to do those. In the meantime, the rice is done. I am going to unplug this unit. Hard to unplug with one hand, so let me pause for a moment. All right, I've unplugged the rice cooker, so the power is off now, even though the vehicle's still running and still charging up the system. This is my not so pretty looking, very, very greasy, not so pretty looking sandwich, but I'm gonna break that off there and actually put this on top like that. It's a hearty breakfast that you can prepare for yourself or whoever's with you in about 10 to 15 minutes. Not much longer than it would take to cook in a kitchen, a regular kitchen. Only difference is you're getting your power from an inverter. So that is the sandwich right there. Let me get it out of the sun. That looked good. And to help finish it off, all I'm going to do is just add some, trying to do things one-handed. Look what happened. I spilled ketchup all over everything. But anyhow, I'm going to goop this ketchup on. Not too much, just a little bit. And there we have our McNoy. I'm going to have to clean up this mess. But that's essentially our McNoy sandwich, pretty much done. And we put the other piece on it. And that is, my friends, an inverter cooked McNoy sandwich using the portable chuck station. Let's do our taste test. And we already know it's going to taste good for those of you who have tried to make the sandwich at home. So let's take a bite and see what we've got. This sure hits the spot. By using a system like this, even if you're in a van in the middle of nowhere, you can cook yourself a really nice hot meal. It's not too expensive, and it is quite delicious. I would venture to say it's better than McDonald's Egg McMuffin sandwich or whatever. So, until next time, everybody, I hope you're staying safe, staying warm if you're still up north. And you were able to pick up some useful ideas. If you have suggestions, please feel free to comment below. I appreciate all of you tuning in, and Give this video a thumbs up. Make sure that you are following the station, or not the station, the channel, by hitting the notify button and telling it to notify you when new videos are up if you're new. And if you want to help the channel out, spread the videos out, because I'm really working hard to try to get the channel to grow. So you're going to see a lot more cooking with the van and some other issues, even though right now I'm not fully living in the van. It's mostly living in Walter's house. But because of our channel base and the people here who have helped the channel to grow, I think it's only fitting that I continue to do van type videos that may be useful for those who actually find this information useful. Take care, everyone. Please stay safe.